At my father's 59th birthday, he pointed at me and said, "Wesley, the food isn't for you. Just drink water." Since I wasn't invited and had no gift, I canceled two $4,830 Hawaii tickets right in front of them and left. 3 years later, they messaged me to reconnect after I found success. I replied, "Sorry, wrong number." Hey, Reddit. There are moments in life that etch themselves into your memories so deeply that you can't forget them, no matter how hard you try. For me, that moment was at my father's 59th birthday party. My name's Wesley, and that night, my father looked at me in front of everyone and said, "The food isn't for you, just drink water." You'd think it was some sort of cruel joke, but it wasn't. It was his way of reminding me that I didn't belong, not in that room, not in that family, and not even at his table. The day started earlier. I wasn't even invited. My mother mistakenly texted me a photo of the decorations, gold balloons, catering trays, smiling faces. That's how I found out. I called her, trying to conceal the hurt in my voice. "Hey, Mom, what's happening tonight?" She hesitated. "Oh, your father's birthday. It's just a small gathering. Nothing big." Nothing big? Yet, I could hear music and laughter in the background. Still, I didn't want to argue. Despite years of feeling like the disappointment, the one who never measured up, I still loved them. So I decided to go, not to cause a scene or prove a point, just to be present. I put on a clean shirt, grabbed a card I had written months before, and drove over. When I walked in, heads turned and the chatter quieted. My father stood near the table, surrounded by my brother, his wife, and their kids, all smiling and holding plates of food. He looked right at me, his expression hardening. "Wesley, what are you doing here?" I forced a small smile. "Just came to say happy birthday, Dad." He didn't smile back. "You weren't invited." The room fell silent. Mom tried to ease the tension. "Oh, honey, it's fine." But he raised his hand. "No, it's not fine. You show up empty-handed. No gift, no respect, nothing." My throat tightened. I didn't know there was a party. He interrupted me. "The food's not for you. Just drink water." It felt like every eye in the room was on me. My nephew's laughter stopped mid-bite. Even my brother looked away. I stood there frozen, trying to keep my composure. Mom whispered, "Wes, maybe just grab a plate quietly." But Dad's voice rose again. I said, "Drink water." I glanced at him one last time, the man who was supposed to instill dignity in me, now publicly stripping me of it. I nodded slowly. "Got it." Then, without another word, I turned and left. Outside, the night was cold. I sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel, replaying every moment. I could have yelled or thrown that silly card in his face. But instead, I just went still. That kind of humiliation doesn't need noise. It just sits inside you, heavy and quiet. I started the car and drove home. When I arrived, I opened my laptop, logged into my email, and stared at an unread message I had been saving. It was a confirmation for 2 first-class tickets to Hawaii, non-refundable, for $1,830. A surprise gift I had planned for my parents' anniversary. They never knew about it and had never even thanked me for anything. But I bought them anyway, hoping that giving something meaningful would earn me a little love in return. Now I just laughed bitterly. As the clock struck midnight, I clicked to cancel the reservation. Then I sent a confirmation email to my father's inbox. No message, no explanation, just proof that some things couldn't be bought anymore. He called once the next morning, but I didn't answer. Then he texted, "You're ungrateful. Don't ever contact us again." I replied with one word, "Okay." And that was the last conversation we had. Over the next 3 years, I built something they never thought I could. I started a small consulting business to help local startups manage their finances and branding. At first, it was just me and my old laptop, but soon, clients began to come in. Late nights, early mornings, no help, no encouragement, just determination. Within 2 years, I had an office, a team, and over 100 clients. By year 3, my company was valued at 7 figures. The same man who told me to just drink water now read about me in local business journals. One day, I received a text from an unknown number. It said, "Wes, it's Dad. We're proud of you. Let's have dinner. We miss you." 3 years, no words, no apologies. And now suddenly he missed me. I stared at the message for a long time, then smiled, not with anger, but with clarity. I typed back just 2 words. Wrong number. Then I turned off my phone, leaned back in my chair, and finally released the last piece of pain they had over me. Because some people don't deserve closure. They deserve to see you succeed without them. That night, I went out for dinner with my team. Laughter filled the room. Plates full, glasses clinking. Someone asked, "Wes, why are you smiling?" I simply said, "Because for the first time in my life, the food is for me." But little did I know that message wasn't the end. When my father discovered what I had really done with those canceled Hawaii tickets, it left him speechless. 3 years. That's how long it had been since that night. Since the words, "The food's not for you." Since I walked away empty-handed, empty-hearted, and silent. In those 3 years, everything changed. The business I started in my small apartment had grown beyond anything I ever imagined. We opened offices in 2 cities, hired 40 employees, and built partnerships with major companies that once ignored my calls. But the biggest change wasn't the money or success. It was peace. Peace from not needing their approval anymore. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living for my father's approval. I was living for myself. Still, sometimes late at night, I think about that Hawaii trip, the one I canceled right before they were supposed to board. They never knew why, never asked. They just assumed it was another thing I'd messed up. But I hadn't canceled it out of spite. I canceled it because I realized that giving people luxury doesn't teach gratitude. It teaches entitlement. Instead, I did something else with that $4,830. I used it to fund a scholarship in memory of my late grandmother, the only person who ever believed in me, the Clara Foundation. It provided financial assistance to young adults from broken families who wanted to start small businesses or attend trade school. Every time I handed out a check, every time I heard someone say, "You helped me start again," I thought that night in my father's face of the shame I once felt and realized that pain had turned into purpose. It was a Friday afternoon when I received a call from an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. "Hello." A woman's voice, shaky and nervous. "Wesley, it's your mother." Her voice was softer than I remembered. "Your father's been asking about you," she said quietly. "He's not well." I didn't respond right away. After a few moments, I asked, "What do you mean, not well?" She hesitated. "He had a mild heart attack. He's recovering, but he keeps saying he wants to see you." I leaned back in my chair. For 3 years, there had been nothing but silence. And now a heart attack brought me back into their world. I didn't know how to feel: angry, sad, pity. Mom continued, "He talks about that birthday night. He says he regrets what he said." I sighed softly. "Mom, regret doesn't erase scars." She sniffled. "I know, but maybe it's time you both had closure." That night, I sat by my window, city lights glowing outside, and thought about it. The humiliation, the loneliness, the silence that had followed. Then I thought about Emma, my niece Ethan's daughter, whom I'd started mentoring last year. She once told me, "Uncle Wes, you're the nicest person in our family." Maybe that was enough reason to go. The next day, I went to see him. When I walked into the hospital room, Mom gasped quietly. Dad turned his head slowly, older and thinner. His usual fire dimmed. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said softly, "You look good, son." It was the first time I had heard that word from him in years. I nodded. "You too." He gave a faint smile. "I heard you're doing well. Proud of you." That word, proud, landed heavier than I expected. I sat down in the chair beside his bed. "I started a foundation," I said. "It helps kids from tough homes get on their feet." He nodded slowly. "Your grandmother would have liked that." We talked for a few minutes, mostly small talk, until finally he looked down at his hands and whispered, "Wes, I shouldn't have said what I did that night." I swallowed hard, and he continued, "You were the one who cared the most, but I took your kindness as weakness. I was wrong." The words hit like thunder after years of silence. I looked at him and said quietly, "You didn't just hurt me, Dad. You hurt how I saw myself." He nodded. "I know, and I can't undo that. I just hope you let me try before it's too late." There was a long pause. Then I said softly, "I already forgave you, Dad. You just weren't there to hear it." Tears welled in his eyes, and for the first time in my life, he reached out his hand. I took it, not for him, but for the version of me that once longed for that gesture. He recovered over the next few weeks. We began talking occasionally, not about the past, but about small things. Food, work, weather. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. A few months later, I received a letter in the mail from my father. Inside was a check for $5,000 made out to the Clara Foundation, and a handwritten note that said, "You turned pain into purpose. This time, I want to be part of something that feeds others, not takes from them." I smiled, tears in my eyes. That was the apology I never thought I'd receive, not through words, but through understanding. That night, I wrote him back. "Thank you, Dad. I guess the food's finally for both of us." Now, every year on his birthday, I donate a meal program to the foundation in his name. Hundreds of families are fed because of it. Every time I see the smiles on their faces, I remember that long ago night, how one cruel sentence broke me, but also built the man I became. Because sometimes the table you're excluded from isn't where you were meant to sit. You were meant to build your own. And this time, there's food for everyone. They told him the food wasn't for him. So he built a table big enough for everyone who'd ever been left out. In the end, even those who hurt him came back hungry for forgiveness.